So let's look at the 5 pillars of contentment. The first pillar of contentment is just simply in Christ. That we have to begin to see our whole entire identity as wrapped up in Christ. It tells us in Psalm 107:9, "For he satisfies the longing soul and fills the hungry soul with good." So if we're satisfied, we're not going to get to those binge eating times in the first place, right? Because generally, we're binge eating at that point in time because we haven't been taking care of ourselves all along. Anybody there with me? Okay. So rather than getting ourselves to that point, we have to make sure that we are continually satisfying ourselves in God. And he promises, you come to me, you're going to be satisfied. But see, here's the thing. You can't just eat a little bit. You can't just drink a little bit. And you can't just, it's not a buffet. See, we love a good buffet. Right? How many of you love a good buffet? We love the buffet. Ashley is downstairs, but she wears buffet pants. She believes if you're going to a buffet, wear the buffet pants that can stretch out there. And she's probably listening right now down there, but she always has a strategy in a buffet, doesn't she, right? Don't go for the salad. You go straight toward the meat and the good stuff back there and work up. But here's the thing about any buffet I want to tell you about. They're not putting out good stuff for you. They wouldn't make any money if they put out the good stuff. They're feeding you on junk. And we are more than content. We're like, I could have a really nice meal or a whole lot of junk. Which would I like? I think I'll go for a whole lot of junk today. That whole lot of junk doesn't have the ability to really satisfy us. In fact, we're putting bad stuff in there. And that's what we like to do with God. We want to have God as part of the buffet of life. We'll take, Sunday morning, we'll take a little bit of Jesus. And then on Wednesday night or Thursday night when Scandal's on, throw a little bit of Scandal with my little bit of Jesus, as if that goes together, right? And we mix it all up and we're like, well, this tastes nasty. Well, duh, the two don't go together, right? And we live in that, and what happens when I'm one of these people, I don't like my food touching one another. I know that probably surprises you that I don't like my food touching one another. And because when they mix up there, sometimes that combination is not tasteful, right? Isn't it? Like sometimes, ooh, what is that? Like when if you give out applesauce, you have to give a little dish for applesauce. All right, if I come to your house and you serve me applesauce, I want a little dish for it, because otherwise it gets in my gravy and it gets in my coleslaw and my potatoes and everything it's not supposed to be in, right? Because that's how applesauce is blah. That's actually how a lot of us are, but just kind of blah there. When you mix things up together, it doesn't work right. It doesn't taste right. Just like when you mix up household chemicals, you got to be really careful with that kind of stuff, right? It doesn't work right. If you put in gas that has water in the gas, what happens to your car? It doesn't work right. We know this in the physical world, but yet we deny its reality in the spiritual world. When we mix it together, it doesn't work. That's why the book of James says, you cannot be friends with the world and friends with God. Being friends with the world means you are an enemy to God. God says all or nothing. He gets to set the terms and conditions of our relationship. Philippians 3:13 is one of these wonderful passages. Paul says, I have strength for all things in Christ who empowers me. But listen to what the Amplified Bible says. I am ready for anything and equal to anything through him who infuses inner strength into me. I am self-sufficient in Christ's sufficiency. Here's what Paul recognized. He recognized that he is nothing apart from God. He can do nothing apart from God. In fact, Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing. But how many of us think we are independent? How many of us think of all the things that we can do and keep God at bay? And how many of us end up in a point of exhaustion, frustration, anger, bitterness, strife, and all these things that have no relationship to the Christian life? The fact of the matter is we have separated ourselves from the vine. And the minute we begin to separate ourselves from the vine, the minute that a branch breaks off of a tree is the minute that it begins to die.
Here's a few reasons why people don't go to church.
I can't come to church until I get my life together.
Church is how I got my life together.
Church is filled with a bunch of hypocrites.
And there's always room for one more.
All they care about is your money.
They care about me, not about my money.
Is there some kind of dress code?
Yes, the code is wear some clothes.
Church, it just makes me nervous.
I was nervous at first, and then I felt right at home.
I'm not sure I believe everything that you believe.
But you can still belong.
Church is for wimpy, girly men.
You want to say that again?
If you knew me and what I've done, you wouldn't want me.
If you knew me and what I've done, you wouldn't be worried.
You can come to my church even if you were brought up Catholic,
Baptist,
Methodist,
Jewish,
Mormon,
Lutheran,
Pentecostal,
Presbyterian,
Church of Christ,
Southern Baptist.
a little bit of everything and a whole lot of nothing.
See, it's not about a religion, it's about a relationship.
So please, come to my church.
Where nobody's perfect.
Where beginners are welcome.
where socks are optional, but grace is required.
Where forgiveness is offered.
Where hope is alive.
And where it's okay to not be okay. Really.